welcome to today's interview with the Master Mentor series, right? So I'm very excited to have this guest on board, right? So I think we only met, I think, once physically, like right before, right? One-to-one session, right? And we like actually so many ideas, right? And it was so freaking exciting. I can't wait to share his message with you today. So today we have Benjamin Ong, right? And it's a very, like, someone with a very cool experience, a cool past, right? So Benjamin, would you like to share a little bit before we get started the interview, right, about your story, what you do right now, right? Just a little bit about you for the audience who might not know who you are right now.
Right. So firstly, thanks, Mark, for having me on. Love it. Thanks for that. So my name is Benjamin Ong, or Ben. I just usually call me Ben. And so I'm 27 this year. Backstory is that I'm your typical complete failure kind of neighborhood school guy, where I was like, primary school, secondary school, I was in the tough club. My O levels was like 202. My PSLE was 202. My like I don't know, 18 or 20 points. Okay. And I went to like Yishun JC, so I didn't, I was a complete failure in terms of like the society's eyes and my dad's expectation, right? So when I went uni, even when I was applying to uni, all the local U, the NUS, NTU, SMU, right? I got like rejected. I applied three times. So 3 years, I applied 3 times. So it's total of 9 times plus appeal. I got rejected from every single university, right? So that was kind of like backstory. And then, when I went to UniSim, now they call it SUSS, right? So when I was there and I studied accounting, and I felt like that was like my redemption moment, right? Like time for me to get my grades, really study and all that stuff. And while I was doing that, I realized that, it wasn't enough it wasn't enough in the working world, right? Whereby, everybody can get grades, but then like in terms of exposure, experience, whole different thing. So I started a lot of things. I went to do banking and finance in Myanmar for like a couple of months. And then after that, I went to startups, and, the startup that I was in was like an equivalent startup version of Foodpanda. So literally we'll carry the bags. There's only 5 of us. We go to MBFC and then we start to deliver and all that things, right? So halfway through, I fell into the insurance industry. Okay. And this is a complete funny thing, right? It was, I didn't expect to go in there because I was your typical very skeptical kind of person.
Yeah.
Insurance. And then what happened was that they came this internship. They usually internship. So I thought like, hey, the money is not too bad for a couple of months. Can learn some soft skills. So I just went ahead with it, right? And then, so I did get my license. I mean, they didn't tell you that you're supposed to get a license, but you just kind of do it, and then, hey, get a license. I was there for like a couple of months, and then I wanted to just leave because I would go back to school. But then my manager back then said, hey, why don't you continue? Part-time, whatever.
Yeah, that's how they.
Yeah, that's how they do it, right? So just me being me, I just went on with it, and then I started to realize that, hey, talking to people not too bad. Versus because I was studying accounting, so that was dry as hell, right? So I just started to do like insurance and talk to people and earn quite decent money for someone that's at 22, 23 years old back then. Somehow, so here's the thing. Here's the biggest thing that I felt like was a turning point in my career, right? Where, or even call it a career, like in this part-time job, was that in March when I joined in 2017, my parents and we didn't have those insurance stuff. So typically when you are inside the insurance, this is the first thing you do is to buy for yourself and your parents, right? So I got a hospitalization for me and my mom. And my mom was over 60 years old and everything was fine. So she can have the, no health condition whatsoever. Apparently, 5 months later, somewhere in July, August, she got in the hospital. Okay. And then like, it was a weird reason that apparently there's some sand in the bowel duct whatsoever. And then total bill was like 23,000. Right. So at a point in time, insurance is the kind of thing that you don't want to, you don't
use.
You don't want to use it. Yeah. You don't use it, right? But unfortunately we use it and it kind of like covered us. So that was like the turning point where I felt like, you know what, I'm going to do it like full time.
Yeah.
Right. So I went in, first year I got my MDRT. So that as a student, and then my second year I went up to be a manager, and then of course have a team of like 10 and all that stuff. So I was enjoying myself there. Right? Until like I don't so like in the environment, my environment was like pretty awesome, with my management and all that stuff. I think somewhere along the lines, there's all the politics, usual stuff. And that got me a little bit like sick and tired of it, so I decided to just leave. Right. So I left. So I was a typical, those insurance agents that are pretty flashy. They buy a Rolex watch, they buy a car, you know that stuff. Yeah. So I did that because like when I was those couple of years there, I was earning about $500,000, right? As a insurance agent, right? So I can buy the car, I buy the Rolex, buy my $1,000 suit. That was just me. But I just left it. I just left the industry and all that stuff. And I let go of my car. I had to take MRT for the first time after like 2-3 years in the not yeah. So you know, kind of stuff. And then after that, actually I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do, right? Because my identity was an advisor and I was very happy with that, you know. So when I left, didn't know what to do. I was in the Lao for 8 months, right? I actually did. So I didn't earn any income. I just lay there watching Netflix and every single day. Yeah, until one day, I think this one of my friends in the industry, he suddenly say, "Hey bro, hey, you left ah? Hey, how about you coach me and one of my friends?" I was thinking to myself like, "Huh? Coach y'all? But y'all got you know, in the industry, you got the manager, you got your mentors, and all that stuff." Yeah. So like, I was thinking like, what? I'm nothing like, you know, what you want to learn from me? They say, "Oh no, bro, you're different and all that stuff." Then I just like, you know, no harm trying and you know, and all that stuff. And he said that he'll pay me. And I'm like, okay, you know. So that was like the start, right? And he paid me. I think my first day was like 1-to-1 every week for $388 a month.
Wow, so nice though. So what?
Yeah, I just like 388, you know, I just go along with it. I don't, you know, I didn't know really how to coach and stuff. So we tried out. Actually, surprisingly, like within 2-3 months, they got quite a bit of results. They earned a lot more money than that. And I think that was when it started, right? And now today, you know, I'm doing coaching for financial advisors, and we have all this community of advisors from different companies and also different countries. You know, where we get together and really, you know, make that kind of difference. You know, we are not so much about like, hey, hit your MDRT, earn the money. We're more of like, you know, doing 3 things, right? Like, of course, earn your money, but the other 2 things is being happy and purposeful. Yeah. So this is kind of like the story to, I know it's a bit long, but like, you know, it's from, it just to give a connection, you know, to why, you know, I'm doing this right now too.
Yeah, so as it definitely you share your whole story about, and obviously there were so many like things that happened in between. There was like deep, right? There was quite intense, right? So and true, because I think there was a lot of things that we could have covered, right? But I would want to ask you the first question, right, regarding your story is, so as much as, well, I think you were saying that, okay, I struggled a lot, right, in terms of my studies, right, my O levels and stuff, right? But what gave you the confidence to still try and do new things, right? Whether is it the startup space, right, doing multiple startups, right, going one insurance, like where do you think that confidence came from? Well, I think a lot of people might have just chosen to say, hey, I'm not good, right? I'm not good enough, right? I've been always failing, right? So let me just try to survive. But you decided to try new things and stuff. So what was the source, or why do you think that you were able to like get to that space of experimenting new things at that point of time?
I think two big reasons. I think number one, I was just sick and tired of like being a loser. I was just sick and tired of being a loser, right? Where when you're fat, your grade sucks, you don't look good, and you don't really earn a lot of money. And you know, people and in this society, right, people do judge you for your outer experience or appearance and all that stuff. So that was one. And I felt like, you know, there was uni years was a time where I was supposed to redeem myself and then make that change. But I think the underlying reason is also because of my dad, right? You know, Asian family, Asian country, I'm the only child. So is the dad want the son to leave the expectations and live the dream that they never had, kind of story. Yeah. So why I go to JC, why I go to uni, why I do this, and this is a lot to do with my dad, right? So I think that was this chip off the shoulder where I felt like I needed to prove myself to make my dad proud.
Wow.
That was the biggest one. I would say that it's not exactly the healthiest way of like why it pushes me to do things, but like the underlying truth is because of my dad. You know, he tough love kind of guy, right? And I know he loves me, but you know, I just want to make sure that I can make him at least proud once in my entire life, you know, and stuff like that. Yeah. So that was like one of the biggest reasons I had.
Well, from what I hear, right, I love the fact that, okay, I mean, like like I said, Asian family, right, parents have high expectations and stuff, right? But some people, right, I mean, not saying it's like in their fault and stuff, right, but they choose to respond with that kind of expectations, right, and kind of disappointments, right, through rebel, right, through being a rebel, right, and just doing things just to piss off maybe their parents more. But you decided to use that energy, right, that frustration, right, to do something a lot more meaningful, right? To start a startup, right? To join in the space, right? And I think that's of course a lot more meaningful and purposeful, right? Than what some other people might choose to use their focus or their energies on, right? So I think I love that. So I guess the next question is, right? So so you're saying that, okay, from a space of where I was wearing my Rolexes, my cars and stuff, right? When did that desire to say, I think I want to stop doing this anymore, right? And then to move on, right? So from what I'm sensing and hearing, right, is that initially, right, it was the environment that shaped you, right? I've got to buy my watches because everybody else is doing it, the cars and stuff. So what was that shift, and how do you try to like overcome that the expected wave of judgment that's going to come to you, right, as you started selling off your material possessions? I'm just curious about your thought process during that point of time.
So in industry, you know, when you, there's the school of thought is like, hey, if you buy a Rolex, you buy a car, it's for marketing, right? To let people know you're doing well, right? So they do the thing, and I did it for those marketing stuff. But when I left, right, I think a couple of things. I think number one, although I don't have the money, but I felt that it doesn't make economic sense to keep the car, right? It cost me about 3K every month, right? And
wow.
And then for the first 4 months, I was just like paying off this 3K without earning a single cent, right? So I think that was one. But I think secondly was that there was one day I just look at, I was doing nothing, right? So I just look at my material possessions, my car key, my mug, and all that stuff. And I think to myself, because I was pretty unhappy, because I was lost, right? Then this realization whereby, you know what, actually, all these things is like, it's just like this water bottle, you know, like it's just there, you know, it's not anything very special whatsoever, you know. And I just felt like, you know, I just felt like I wasn't any happier than before I bought the Rolex or the cars. Right. And now that, hey, I have the cars, I have the Rolex, but now I'm in this state. Even though my material possessions still exist, my happiness doesn't, right? Like it doesn't exist anymore at the point in time, right? So that was like, I realized that, you know what, it doesn't really matter anymore, you know. And that was when I felt life was teaching me a lesson also to eat a humble pie. You know, when you're 23, 24, you earn a lot of money, your ego tends to be big, right? You tend to spend a lot of money and all that stuff. Yeah, I think that was a big lesson to me. And I just kind of think about it, and I'm just like, you know what, let me make this very, very hard change, you know. So I sold off my car, and this is literally more or less like what I have right now, you know, and all that stuff. So I think it was just that realization that you had it once, and then you realize that actually once you had it, it's nothing much. You know, I think that's quite a lot. And all my colleagues and all my other friends right now, I think that's how they feel as well. You know,
you inspired them to.
Yeah, the desire comes with the anticipation of buying that Rolex or buy that car. But once you have it, it's just.
Wow, I love it. Because for me, right, I'm not really, I don't really buy a lot of materials, but one thing I want to buy right now is actually a Tesla car. Right? So I'm going to be interested to see what's going to happen when I do get it down the road. So I guess the next question is, okay, so I'm going to go slightly back, right, to when you first started your insurance journey, right? So you were joining an internship, you're taking the exams, right? Then your supervisor was like, hey, how about just do it part-time, right? So that's how I got it. But I guess can you just share a little bit of your journey about how you first got started, or how you first got to your success? But I think for you to start at such a young age and get such huge success, right? Can you share a little bit about how you got started? What are some of the challenges you faced, right? And how were you able to like accelerate your progress in such a short period of time? Can you share a little bit of your journey during that point of time?
Yeah, so started off, I think the biggest challenge, the worst, was the stigma. Yeah, the worst was the stigma. You know, when people ask me, hey, so what are you doing now? I couldn't bring myself to say, oh, I'm an agent or a financial advisor. Like that was the biggest thing that I had to overcome. And the thing is if you don't let people know, and here's the funny thing, if you don't let people know what you're doing, then they are never ever going to have any business or any transactions or relationships with insurance, right? Yeah, so that was ironic, so this is the hardest part, right? So and I think I was trying to avoid the term financial advisor. I always say that, because I was a student, right? So I say, I'm interning there, you know, so that it lessens the stigma that's associated with it. Yeah. So that was the biggest one. And I had a lot of friends trying to avoid me and all that stuff, you know, which was also even more it was more difficult emotionally, right? Like, hey, you know, I'm still the same person, right? You know, but just because my job title changed, and then people start to avoid. So I think that was the biggest one. But I think over time, I think for me, because one of the biggest things, right, is that I was scared to sell something that I didn't really know. Like I wasn't sure that, hey, would this product really work? I mean, they say that there's an agreement, the company will pay out and all that stuff, but like, it's just a piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
So I think in order to overcome all these stigma and shyness of me, of being embarrassed and all that stuff, I study a lot on the product summary, 50 pages and all that things. I studied, I researched and all that stuff to increase my conviction, right, that these are things that really work and all that stuff. So I think from there, I think that's the biggest one, really studying like what I'm selling.
Yep.
Right, every single percentage, every single fee or whatever it is, just put it down and see whether does it really make sense. So I was again, because I was a skeptic, right? Yeah, so this was where I was really skeptical about everything. I think on the right side, right, after I've done that, I had a lot more conviction. So I started to reach out to people, and I think more importantly was also to reach out in a way of being very casual. Like when I say casual, I mean, so most advisors, or the Singapore stigma is this: the insurance agent asks someone to drink coffee, okay? Drink halfway, take out iPad and say that, hey, bro, by the way, you got to do savings plan or not? This is the usual way, right? And I don't know, because like I'm younger back then or something like that, and I felt like I need to, because I don't want to be associated with that. Right. So I went along the route of like just sharing, asking about them, like showing genuine interest in their lives and all that stuff. And then there come a point where they ask me, so Ben, what are you doing? Then I share with them. I share some stories about claims, about all the things and all that stuff. And then I need to thank this lady. I won't mention her name, but she's one of like acquaintance in school. And she said this, she said, oh Ben, actually my family have an advisor they don't really like, actually you can come out and help us with our policies and all that stuff. Yeah, that was like, wow. And that was like the power of conversation. And she was like one of my first clients, right? And all that stuff, the entire family, the aunts as well, right? So I think from there was so knowing that I wanted to move away from the stigma, I do things that is more unconventional, like really showing interest, get the first client, and then I think it just snowballed from there. Yeah, I think it just snowballed from there. Of course, there's still a lot of downs along the time, along the time, right? But I think that gave me a lot of confidence, and I think also because of the fact that I like to talk to people, right? I like to have fun and all that stuff versus accounting, so that appeals to me a lot more. Yeah. So if you ask me about that success in the first year, I think it's about like being happy in the things that you really love doing.
From what I hear, bro, like I love the fact that, okay, initially, right, you are authentic because at first you couldn't sell something that you didn't believe in, right? So I think that's the thing. A lot of people, they try to sell something that they don't really know, right? But the thing is that there's a resistance there, and you cannot never be your full 100% self. I think that will be a challenge for a lot of people who are starting out, right? I think number one, right? I think number two is you decided to be unique, right? I think that's something we both know, we learn about, right? It's about how do you position yourself differently from everybody else? If not, you will just achieve results just like everybody else, right? So you became unique, right? And you have your own different perspective on how you handle things. I think number three, I think you just shared it, right, about how do you actually enjoy the process? How do you do something that you actually like, right? For yourself, is for speaking to people, right? But obviously for somebody else who you might have a bit of challenge with, you can definitely go and consider something else, right? That's a little more aligned, right? So something that you believe in, something that's unique, and something that actually makes you happy as well. I think those are very big lessons to learn from people, right? So I guess. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the next question, right, is okay. So right now, how many you share a little bit about how many coaches do you have right now? Like and what countries? I didn't know they're different. I know it's all Singapore, man. Like how many countries was it right now, and how many people at the moment?
Right. So till date, you talk about like the moment I first started all the way now, we have around 74 advisors. 90% of 85% of them are from Singapore. And then the remaining 4 or 5 of them is from Hong Kong. And then the rest are in one of them are one is from Philippines. Yeah. And then the rest, and the rest are from Hong Kong. Yeah. So this is kind of like the numbers from different companies. Yeah, we have almost literally every company advisor in Singapore.
Yeah, I think one of your claim to fame is probably like one of the largest or strongest community of advisors that's all coming from different companies, right? So that's pretty cool. So I guess the question is, right, based on your observations, right? So right now you work about 70 of them, right? You also at the same time you have experience with working for a previous company with different, I'm sure different agents, colleagues, right? So what in your observations, right, are some of the characteristics or traits, right, of financial advisors to achieve way bigger, way faster, way greater success, right, than those, right, who might be still a little bit slower or stuck or not at the area that you like, based on your personal observations and experience?
The biggest one that I discovered so far, and this was doing some of back testing, kind of like looking back at all the clients, looking at myself, looking at everybody, and because I have people that literally from zero to hero, they had nothing, they earning 5K, and then now they're earning 150,000 within like 9 months, right?
Yep.
So literally I had nothing there. So, and I can tell you the biggest number one, right, kind of like success, right, is that for advisors is that they know, and they first they're confident of their identity as an advisor.
Wow.
Okay, and let me explain what I mean by that. Every time someone's be an advisor, they know they need to sell to earn commissions and all that stuff. But sometimes when they do the selling, right, they are not sure whether the thing that they're selling or who they're selling to is a right thing to do. And it's hard on that level, because like if you don't have commission in the product, that's the first level, right? You don't have commission in the first product in the product, then you don't really have the confidence to sell, right? If the customers give you objection, you'll be like, oh yeah, maybe the customer is right, and then kind of like just forget it, give up, right? And then on top of the very fact that your prospects will reject you, right? So there's another level of like rejection and all that stuff. And on top of the fact that the society hates you, or like dislike you for the matter, right? When you stack up all these things, there is no wonder that your confidence or as an advisor, it seems like you want to be an advisor, but why does it seem like everything is so difficult? Why is like everybody against you in some sense? So that was the biggest one. And because of that, a lot of advisors, they are just losing their confidence, and then don't forget in your agency, the manager or director will be like, hey, you never close sales, hey, you don't have appointments, you will add all these things together, and then it becomes like, shit, why are you in the industry in the first place? Right? So so that's the one, right? On the flip side, an advisor, if you're confident of your identity, whereby you know that you are here and this product, whatever it is for the better, for whoever that you're serving, right? Then you will go all out. Like I think when I look back and I interview all these advisors, right, it is about that confidence. When I asked them, because I was doing my own feedback, right, from my clients, and I said, hey, I was thinking, they will say things like, oh, it's a strategist, it's a social media skill set, it's a closing. What I realized is that the biggest one is confidence. Confident of being themselves as an advisor. That is the number one biggest thing, right? Because if you don't have that, no matter how good the skill sets, the strategies, and your closing is, you will never be able to execute it with that kind of confidence, right? And this is something that I'm so passionate about, because like some of the community, when they join, they have all these insecurities and all that stuff. And I always ask them this. I say that, hey, from a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, you view yourself and you accept yourself as a whole, fully as an advisor with your insecurities, your lack of knowledge and all that stuff. Where do you think you stand? All of them, when they first started, they always tell me, I think maybe 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10. There are other advisors, they're better than me. They did their court of table, they did this and that and all that stuff, right? And I asked them this question. I say that, so think about it. So Mark, you think about it, right? Imagine, let's say you're the prospect, right? And if I view myself as a 5 out of 10 advisor, if I rate myself as 5 out of 10, then my question to you is, will you buy from somebody that's a 5 out of 10?
No, as in, no, because I don't even know whether it'll be there for the long term, right, and stuff.
Exactly, right? And so like the thing here is this, right? Like however you view yourself, how you view yourself, right, is what you project out in the world, right? If I view myself as a 5 out of 10, the customers will definitely view it as a 5 out of 10, right? And nobody will really buy from a 5 out of 10 advisor. And I think here's the thing to clear it up, because some people might think that, hey, but there are really other people, they are so much more certified, so much more experienced as an advisor. And I think the scale of 1 to 10 is not so much about your skill sets and your knowledge, but of how much acceptance you have for yourself, right? Like I always say, like, accept yourself fully with your imperfections, right? So that's the thing, right? And I always say that you must always think that you are 10 out of 10 with your insecurities, with your lack of skills and lack of knowledge and all that stuff. But I say never exceed to 11 out of 10, because 10 out of 10 is confident, 11 out of 10 is arrogance, right?
Okay.
So I always drill that in like so many more times, and I think that was the biggest one that really get a lot more results more than the strategies and all that stuff.
Okay, so I guess the natural next question, right, is like somebody's watching you like, okay, right, I'm not confident. Okay, now you're telling me, okay, confidence is full thing, right? So what would you advise, right, somebody who's new, starting out, not so confident, right, to jumpstart his level of confidence and conviction of his identity as a financial advisor? And I'm sure, like whatever you're sharing right now, it doesn't just apply to financial advisors, right? Whether we are in the space of coaching, right, whether you are in your business, whatever that is, right? I think it's about how would you like advise somebody to get started or jumpstart his level of conviction and confidence in the identity, whatever else is doing?
Right. That's a great question, Mark, because like it sounds easy in theory and it makes sense,
Yep.
but execution is the difficult part, right?
Yeah, I'm
So,
sure.
I personally feel there's only two big ways, right? To jumpstart any change in your paradigm or change in confidence and all that stuff, right? Those are two ways. Now, the first way, which is the more less often or less frequent, less path that is taken, and it's not one that I advise, right? Is something that is a very huge shock or an incident that happened or event that happened or that epiphany that happened, right?
Yep.
So like, for example, right, I get a lot more conviction in the career because why? Something unfortunate happened to my mom.
Yeah.
Right? And that shifted a lot of things, right? So, and obviously we don't want everybody to have something happen to their clients or their family, before they have more confidence. So I would rather go with the second route, which is repetition, right? And one of the things that we teach, right, and we really advocate a lot, right, in our program, our advisors or community, right, is every morning, right? Like it might seem the dumbest, stupidest thing to do, but I always tell them write down their affirmations. Write down their affirmations, and it's simple things like, hey, I am a successful advisor. I am a confident advisor who can deliver value for people. Write it down, repeat yourself, and think of that over time, every single time, like every single day, throughout the day, and all that stuff, right? And when you go on coaching calls, this is where they go on coaching calls, where I meet them 3 times a week in a group, and I'll just shove it down, right? And I say like, hey guys, you need to understand you guys are good enough. I love the work that you guys do. Please fucking keep it up. Right? Like I just keep repeating that, right? Because repetition, and the same thing, Mark, I mean, you're a master implementer. You talk about like productivity habits. It's all a form of repetition of doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah. And therefore it becomes a part of you, right? So this is what like the most lamest, simplest, boring thing to do, but it's the one that's going to give you that change in order to get your confidence and you feel way more better about yourself and your confidence.
Yeah, I love that. Like sometimes people overcomplicate things, right? They think they need to read like 10,000 books or watch like 10 videos and whatever, but like simple things like affirmations, right? Or daily basis. And I think I love what you do, right? You have 3 coaching calls per week. Firstly, that's quite from my experience, that's quite a lot, but it shows the amount of dedication you have. But I think number 2 is about reminding them, like having somebody there to also remind you, right, that hey, you are doing good work, right? You are doing well, right? And I think that also adds up to the whole level of confidence and conviction, right? And what so I absolutely love what you just shared. I think a lot of people can take away from that, because I think right now a lot of people right now in the space, right, are struggling with that level of confidence of being as convicted, right, as what like. And I think that's a huge tip, right, that people can really implement and use and have a lot of great results for themselves if they do it consistently. All right, so I guess with that, right, so I think this is probably one of my second last question, right, is so right now in today's world, it's 2021, right? Where do you see, like, have you seen like some trends changing in terms of how a financial advisor should be when it comes to being successful, right, in terms of maybe compared to 5 years ago, right, to now, right? And where do you see it going the next couple of years time, like in just general trends of where you think like salespeople or financial planners should be aware about in this space?
Yeah, that's an amazing question, right? And because of, especially because of COVID-19, 2020 was a year where a lot of things get disrupted, including like businesses. Advisors can't do roadshow now and prospecting and all that stuff, right? So if you ask me, obviously a lot of people right now, a lot of advisors run on social media, right? So I think clearly that should be the way to go, right? However, I personally feel like when I look at consumer trends and looking at some of my clients and their clients and how they really view the value of advising on their stuff, a lot of them, right, are still not really doing too much on Zoom. Yeah, like it's really circuit breaker. Everybody's like on Zoom and all that stuff. Like you meet your clients, you can do right now. Insurance company can sign a plan through Zoom. Yeah, you can literally
so DocuSign and stuff.
Literally like this. If I pitch to you, I show you, I can send you a document. You just sign and then you pay money and that's done, right? So although there's still that, I think 2 strategies that advisors should go for. I think number 1, right, is your presence needs to be up there on the social media place, right, where people know you. So your marketing needs to be like omnipresent, right? You need to be out there on social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatsoever, right? However, when you're dealing with customers or prospects and all that stuff, I would actually advise to actually go offline. Right? And the reason is very simple, right? Because every advisor is online right now, right? Most of them are online, right? So they get the marketing, you know, and all that stuff. But the true value, the true connection really comes in, the biggest value really comes in from the offline meeting. Yeah. So while last time was always about offline, right? I do roadshow, I do door knock and all that stuff, and I just meet clients, right? Now, because everybody's going online, I would suggest to actually go opposite and then now meet people offline and build the connections offline. Yeah, because and this is something that I also kind of observe like and learn from the big players like those, like let's say Amazon, right? You know, you have Walmart, and then Amazon is like the online version of Walmart, right? Like it's all online. But you also realize that Amazon itself also start to open up like physical stores.
Yes.
Right? Because so it always goes, it's always like on the contrarian kind of mindset, right? Whereby you go against the grain so that you actually stand out easier than if you go with like everybody's online and all that stuff. Yeah. So I think that's that. And I think the second point, if I were to add on, is everybody here really, and this is a quote from Gary Vee, which I really adhere to. Everybody needs to be a marketer. Everybody needs to be a media company. You know, that's what Gary Vee says it, right? Advisor, the products, the planning, plus minus the same. Okay. Right. And I give the energy to my guys, right? I say that, hey, look, today you have a bakery store in the neighborhood, and then you have bread top, right? Now, when I ask this question, let me ask you, Mark, do you think bread top's bread is significantly like wow than a normal?
No,
it's okay, like it's not too bad, right? But it's not like Then the question now is like, you know, why is a bread top earning so much more money than the bakery store? Right? And it's really all come back to marketing and, you know, how much you show up on social media every day, how much you show up in the stores, in the physical malls and all that stuff. Bread top. Yeah, that's what the one that makes a lot of difference. Because if today people don't know you, does it really matter how good you are? Right? It doesn't matter if we have a chartered financial consultant. I think that's good certification. I think it's amazing. But if nobody knows about you, I mean, come on, even if they want to find someone like you, it's hard to find, right? Yeah. So it always comes with that marketing first on social media and all that stuff. Then, of course, you need to have real substance. That's what I'm saying also, right? Yeah. So I think generally, like, you know, firstly be on social media for your marketing. But when you meet clients, go offline, you know, with all offline gift service and all that stuff. And then number 3 is really, please make sure that your marketing always comes first. That's
I love it, right? So I think it's really right now, right? I think based on what you share, right, it's really the response to the fact that I from my opinion, right, obviously consumers are a lot more skeptical, right? They have a lot more choices, right, to pick from us. It's all online, right? So that if you are trying to do like cold calls only, right, without having your own strong presence, right, the likelihood of you closing sales consistently and growing over time, right, is going to be like significantly reduced as compared to somebody who's there optimizing, right? People can trust you even before they meet you, right? And then you bring that one-to-one call. The level of trust, the level of likelihood of you closing or making the sale, right, is going to be so much higher because the person trusts you. So I think thanks so much for sharing that. So I guess with the last question, right, I think it's actually just a wrap up or integration of everything you just shared from the start of the interview, right? So right now, right, let's say, bro, like I'm going to talk in the space of financial planning, right, because that's where you are specialized in. I think a lot of people can learn from you, right? Which is, if you had to start your journey right now all over again, right, all over again, you lost your money, you lost your branding, right, and only you just have your knowledge right now in the space, what will you do in the first 30 days, right, to not only bounce back to where you are, where you were, right, and even beyond that? What we do in the first 30 days, what are some of the specific action steps, right, you feel that you would do, right, immediately, right, in the first 30 days, right, to get back on track to in terms of growing your sales, right, getting the COT, MDRT, whatever we call that, right, again.
So assuming that I have the amount of knowledge and experience right now. So that's a very good question, Mark. I think number 1 is I would really dive deep into the products that I am going to sell. I think that's the number 1, right? Even I myself, you know, before marketing, right? Like, I think number 1 is really dive deep into the products. Like really knowing, hey, is this good? Is suitable for who? Appropriate for who? So on and so forth. I think that's the most important. Now, after that, then I will start to market myself and showing up on. So let's say, for example, right, I'll show up on Instagram, right? I'll start documenting myself. I start sharing and educating people on Instagram. if that's the platform I'm using. It could be Facebook and LinkedIn for you or for other advisors, but like I'll use Instagram and I will start educating people, right? And after that, concurrently, I'll start reaching out to people and really genuinely catching up with them, right? To ensure interest in their lives, to see whether, you know, can I even offer any point of help, or do they even need help in the first place? Right. So these are the main 3 things that I'll do in the first 30 days, right? Know the product, right? And then start marketing myself out there to let people know. Right. I wish I'd done that because way earlier, because back then when I started, I was hiding, right? I didn't want people to know, you know, and all that stuff, right? But I realized that was a huge mistake. You know, if I were to start back again, I would definitely know my products, market myself out there, right? And then of course, subsequently, when you have an appointment and you want to go for the sale, then you need to know your concept presentations very well.
Mastering the
a lot of people go, you know, they sell products, like they show you this is how the product works, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, stuff. Not that there's anything wrong, but I can tell you that in this era, nobody cares about your product presentation unless they understand the concept of why they even need it in the first place. Right? So if they don't understand the concept, then it doesn't matter how good the product is. Right? If someone don't understand the concept of a hairdryer, you can sell them a Dyson hairdryer for $50, but they wouldn't even buy it, right? Because they don't understand the concept, right? And I think this is the biggest differentiator, because when you have a concept presentation, it gives a lot of value, and a good concept presentation will give an epiphany also. You get your prospects at the end of it to be like, oh wow, I didn't know about this. Actually, I thought their whole life plan is actually like that one, you know. So that is the kind of value they're bringing, even without selling them in the first place. And when you do that, selling the product, I can tell you the product and the sales is just like 10% at the end, like proposing and all that stuff. 90% is about the value and concepts.
Wow.
So this is
I love it. I think
I'll rearrange and do the market product, know my products, do the marketing, reach out to people, and then have a very solid value concept presentation.
And that's how you simplify, because I think it's just, you just get good at these 4 things, right? Instead of overcomplicating the 1,001 strategies, right? You are going to get success. I think you have really proven it with your community. I think the success stories are crazy, right? And I think you're doing such good like impact, right, to this entire space, right, of the financial advisor community, right? So with that, right, any last words for the audience out there, right? And where can they find you if you want to find out more about what you do, learn from you? Like, just share a little bit about that as well.
All right. So I think, I mean, okay, so if you want to find me, you can just find me on Instagram. I'm just at Ben to the right. So like BN, then to the right. So Ben to the right, right? You can find me on Facebook. It's also the same thing and all that stuff. So of course, you know, if you hit me on Instagram, if you are interested, of course, we can chat more and all that stuff, right? But I think some final words that I hope to be of value and useful to the audience, whoever is watching, is, you know, when you're an advisor or when you're first starting out, or even you're an advisor right now, right? The biggest thing that you always need to remember that, you know, you are always doing good, right? Assuming that you're all ethical and everything else, whatever you're doing is always good, right? Like don't ever doubt yourself. Like never ever doubt yourself. You know, everybody is doubting you. Why bother being one more of them, you know, to doubt yourself as well, right? Because I can tell you that you know, I'm not the kind of person who go into those sob story, you know, the insurance claim and all that stuff, but I would also like to say that, you know, that's a pretty real thing, not only in Singapore, but also in Hong Kong, Philippines, and Thailand. You know, like there's a lot of people that's not getting coverage, you know, that's needed for them and all that stuff, right? And most of them don't buy not because they don't have money, but because they just don't like advisors and the way they sell. Right? So despite of all this, you know, just need to remember that you're always doing the right thing, you know, and you must do the right thing, okay, in the way you sell and the things that you propose, you know, because if you do that, there's no way that you can't earn money and make an impact. So that's I hope that's useful, you know, because I'm very passionate about this, although I'm not an advisor anymore, but I'm very passionate about, like, you know, and I can tell you what our vision for 2XYC, 2X Closing, our coaching program, our vision, right, of our community is, you know, we actually want every household in Asia to be financially protected and planned for, right? And our mission to reach there, right, is to have every advisor, right, in Asia, you know, to be happy, purposeful, and profitable, right? Because you need money to survive, obviously, right? And I think more importantly, when you have that purpose and you're happy, you'll be more willing to reach out to a lot more people to really help them with their finances. Yeah, so this is the things that we're doing, and I really hope that whoever's watching gets value out of this.
Wow, I love it. I'm sure they will, man. I think there's a lot of deep stuff, a lot of strategic stuff, a lot of important things, right? Not just in terms of strategy, but the mindset. So they get to learn, right? So thanks so much for sharing, being open, right? And definitely, I think you are doing great stuff, right? In terms of the impact they're doing. So I'm just excited for more people to get to know you, right? And to be impacted by you as well. Yeah. So with that, guys, thanks again, Benjamin, right? And for those who are watching, right? Let me know your comments, what you're thinking about, right? What are your some of the takeaways, right? I'll see you for the next edition of the Master Implementers interview series. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Ben.